Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Bleav.
Doesn't matter if you're an Indian or if you're a Warhawk.
The ULM mention is the greatest. You'd hope for the best as a ULM fan, but
this is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast with hosts Dusty Thibodeaux and Chase Regian.
Chase, you always have such great insight.
Tibbs is going to bleep it all.
What are these guys always talking about?
We talk a lot about food on this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so.
Really, really appreciative of the people and the community and the way that they've backed us up.
Nailed the introduction, by the way. Awesome.
Thanks,
I love
bitch.
it.
31-25, Warhawks get their first non-conference road win since 2018. First road win since last year's Troy game. They've only been on the road twice already, Chase, but your initial thoughts before we start breaking this game wide open.
I'm really impressed by the big plays. Offensive line play was massively improved from what we've seen the last two games. Defense, the first half, and I mean, this is a tale of two halves, Tibbs, because the team in the first half is an 8-win team, 9-win team. I mean, they can do whatever they want to. The team in the second half is kind of a tough watch, and but yeah, really excited for the potential that we saw from that first half.
And really, it was a little bit more than just the first half. I'd say about halfway through the third quarter is when it was still going on, that the Warhawks really just had this game well in hand and just kind of cruising along. I thought that with Odom, the big receiver there for UTEP, actually not playing today, that really was going to limit the passing attack that we were going to see from UTEP, but that wasn't the case. And I don't know, honestly, if it was that great of passing play, or Chase, I hate to say it, was it that bad of a secondary performance for the Warhawks?
Oh man, I think it's a mixture of both. I think Malachi Nelson, got in his head late in that game in the fourth quarter, but really is a good quarterback. I Bleav he is. He's got a great arm and, a little inconsistent with accuracy, but regardless, I mean, he wasn't throwing, he wasn't throwing a lot of contested balls. He was throwing a lot of wide open, big balls. And that's that's what, if you're a ULM fan, you're really concerned about the way that turned out.
Yeah, and especially, don't get me wrong, it was great to have the two late interceptions, especially the last one there to seal the deal. But they should have had at least two more, if not three more, in this game. As it stands, the Miners able to pass for a combined 409 yards on the Warhawks. Warhawks offense, 149 yards. I think that when we had talked with Mike McGee before the game, he had given some kind of stat about that a ULM quarterback had not passed for over 200 yards since like 2021 or 2020.
Yeah, since Caleb Evans. That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's still, I don't think you saw, unfortunately, we said we'd learn a lot this game. I think we really did. But, I don't think Aiden has taken that leap forward that you would really like to see. I think the offense opened up a lot, but Aiden didn't necessarily, and he wasn't necessarily put in a lot of positions where he had to kind of be the guy. And I think that's you jump up such a large lead early that it allows you to do that. But he doesn't. I'm still anxious to see what really happens with Aiden Armenta this season.
31-25. Second most points that the Warhawks scored in the Brian Vincent era, just behind last year's UAB game. let's start breaking it open there. I think that it really set the tone early on the opening kickoff when the Warhawks kicked off. UTEP, they made the first mistake of the game when they didn't just let the ball go out of bounds. I mean, I'm glad they didn't, but that squib kick was walked out of bounds at their own 12-yard line. But it didn't really matter because Malachi Nelson really kind of showed and set the tone for the game on that initial drive. 15 plays down the field, including 2 really long third down conversions, but ultimately just unable to punch it into the end zone on the 4th down. Warhawks take over on their own 4-yard line and, of course, get a false start. And I don't know about you, Chase, but when I start hearing that and we're already in the shadows of our own goalposts, I'm like, come on, guys. We can't do this.
I mean, it's, what a 2-yard penalty. I mean, I get it's tough, but yeah, I mean, you'd much rather be at the 4-yard line than 2-yard line. But I think that kind of played a little bit throughout the game of penalties. Thankfully, it wasn't. There were some that hurt, but not too many that murdered us per se. But yeah, that wasn't great. But Tibbs can't be upset with what happened next.
No, Dorian Lewis breaks loose, 72-yard run, sets up the Aiden Armenta to Jake Godfrey touchdown for a 12-yard pass. 7-0 Warhawks at that point. But UTEP says, oh, you went 72, let's go 73. One play, Trayvon Tate from Malachi Nelson, and they're on the board 7-0.
Yeah, and I think that kind of unfortunately had some foreshadowing, not necessarily in the first half, but definitely there in the second half, and something the Warhawks really gonna have to, look at that play that was their second drive and their 16th play, which is wild to say, but they're really gonna have to shore those things up because that putting that on film really creates problems later in the season.
No doubt. And as far as I know, the only injury there that we had was actually on that long play. Defensive lineman Levante Jacobs left the game injured, did not return. I did not see him after the game, so I really don't have an update of his current status. But that should be the only significant injury there that we had. Definitely find out more from Brian Vincent next week. Warhawk defense holds the Miners to just a 40-yard field goal attempt. No good. Warhawks, Aiden Armenta once again opening up the aerial attack. 40 yards to Godfrey. Braylon Reynolds gets the touchdown on a 40-yard run. 14-7. At that point, Chase, I was like, all right, we got this. It's going to be a steady chipping away at the Miners' defense, but we got this.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's when ULM offense really started to take control of that game. And really, when I was watching it, I felt like the line really started to create some holes and really started to get some great push in it. And you felt that momentum completely on our side, as it really continued to the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, first half.
Into the first quarter, it was 14-7. At that point, the Warhawks had ran 10 plays of offense. And usually when you hear that, Chase, that's when we kind of are like, golly, that quarter couldn't have got over quick enough. And
yeah, you start thinking flashbacks to Bama. Yeah.
Exactly. And UTEP had ran 28 plays, and you're like, golly, we're probably on the wrong end of that 14-7 score. ULM, 10 plays, 188 yards. UTEP, 28 plays, 188 yards. Absolutely efficient offense there through that first quarter. Amazing. We thought the whooping was going to happen. We thought it was going to be a St. Francis all over again.
I mean, it really had the potential to. I mean, UTEP wasn't a bad team. I'm glad. You know what I was thinking, Tibbs, the whole time watching that first quarter and the second quarter? I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm right about that UTEP defense. They look trash. I mean, they really just struggled to kind of hold I had an inkling for this game that we might be an inept offense, and thankfully I'm wrong about that.
Second quarter got started with Aiden Armenta hitting Jonathan Bibbs for a 35-yard shuffle pass play. Armenta with the unsportsmanlike conduct. We don't want to condone it, but it was awesome when your quarterback goes sliding into the end zone to do the picture of Bibbs after the play.
Yeah, I thought you were about you kind of led that off like Aiden had this great throw. He just tossed the ball in front of him. But still,
Yeah.
great, at that point I had no Tibbs did I had heard this on the radio that and Mike Hammett, Mike McGee had a great call again tonight, but it was he Bibbs at that point had two catches for 100 yards and two touchdowns for his career at that point, which I thought was a wild stat. Um, and yeah, I think you're saying you don't want to condone it. I absolutely want to condone it. I think at this point we've had so much frustration pent up. Take the 15 yards. Just take the flag and throw it off the field too. Just get kicked out of the game because that was awesome, dude. Why not?
Well, not at that point. Maybe in the fourth quarter, late when it was a highly contested game, but not at that point. There was still too much football left to play. Warhawks do get a career-long 44-yard field goal from Luke Stagg. I like that we have that backup option there on the kicking side. Max Larson was on the sideline. He was here, but was not dressed out. Same with Nick Trujillo and several of the other players there. Burkhalter was back though. I didn't really look too much to see if he got into the game. It looks like he did have one catch for 1 yard, so he was definitely at least in the game and running some routes, which is good ahead of conference opener next week against Arkansas State.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. Luke Stagg is kind of he's got to know that he's kind of the second guy, and to come in and for as really rough St. Francis game was for him. Obviously, didn't ever get a chance at Bama, but as a as rough as St. Francis went for him, to watch him go out there, and he had more than 44 on that kick, dude. It was a good one, and really, really was great. I almost wish we would have kicked field goal with him late in the game, but understand why we went for it to try to seal it. But definitely, definitely glad we've got that in the pocket, and it's better than what we thought.
No doubt. I mean, we expected a big drop off there from Max Larson to Luke Stagg. So glad to be wrong there. Not to take anything away from him, because I know you don't believe it, Chase, but special teams are key to the game. They're people, they matter, and we got to have them.
They mattered tonight, that's for sure.
One thing that really bothered me the most about this game, though, overall, this was a heavily penalized game. Warhawks with 12 penalties for 98 yards, UTEP 8 for 80. But it felt like every ULM penalty was that typical UL most drive-killing thing. I mean, even in the first half, we have, and late in the second quarter, we have an illegal substitution after we had
Yeah.
just stopped UTEP. But that gave them a new set of downs, and they were able to continue the drive. Luckily, it didn't lead to any points, but it was still the continuation of that drive.
Yeah, I think, that's an operations problem, Tibbs, and I think that was glaring again this year. That was my biggest critique of BV last year was just, he takes a lot of first and third quarter timeouts, and that was true again tonight. And unfortunately, that really comes to bite you in the ass as the game moves forward. And so I think that was kind of where it reared its head again, and then it, obviously continued to get worse, and just it's something they really have to tighten up because as we saw at Marshall last year, it will lose you a game.
No doubt. And I think that late in the game there, Aiden tried to call the timeout knowing that the play clock was down. We got the delay of game. But that's the offense that BV runs is not inducive to quickness. It's not
No.
one that you can wait until 7 seconds are left on the play clock and stir all the motions of the offense. You got to get in there. You got to get set and get ready to go.
Yeah, I think, and then later in the game, we'll probably get to this point. And I'm sorry for jumping ahead, but you stamped the ball with 25 seconds left on it, really at a time where you could have. Those 25 seconds made a huge difference, and it's just, you know, it's the biggest critique I have for this team right now, and it's a little one, but it's not, and it's something that can be fixed, not easily. You've really got to change some things in the way that You operate as a quarterback, you operate as a head coach, offense coordinator, and athletic director. I mean, you've really gotta tighten some things up that way before it can get out of hand, kind of like we saw it get tonight.
Yeah, I was just glad that this was not a UL most moment because it had all the
The way
signs.
it had it, it was writing on the wall once they got that 2-point conversion, especially
No,
later in the game.
and I didn't understand why you go for two at that point because it
I,
didn't. It was still a 2-possession game, even if you got the two.
I mean, I mean, hey, they got it, good for them, but it doesn't make any sense at all. The numbers I kept trying to add up. I started writing the numbers down, tips, because I was like, wait, what does this equal if they don't get it? If they do get it, does it save them from not scoring a touchdown? No. Okay, I guess it just means they win if they score 2 touchdowns in 8 minutes. It really was, but hey, dude, Waldron was off his rocker tonight. I mean, that guy really needs to go. That guy needs to take some pills or something because he was going insane. I don't know how he didn't get kicked out of that game.
So I think I took that, and I was standing on the opposite side there on ULM's sideline, looking across at him, and I equated it to in baseball when the coach tries to get kicked out to kind of rally his team, or that coach in basketball tries to get the technical to rally his team of, hey, these guys are out against us. We need to kind of gel together. That's the way I kind of took it. But yeah, he was not a happy camper.
No, he was throwing a tantrum, Tibbs. You don't do that in football. I mean, it kind of worked though. I mean, it almost sparked really a comeback for him to a point, but it was unprofessional. And I mean, he was just, I know he's a young guy. He's what, 35, and got a really promising career ahead of him. And I know he's had some accolades early, but I hope he learns from this one because that's how you're right. That's how baseball managers operate. That's not how football head coaches operate.
Last takeaways there. The secondary, as we said before, I don't want to take anything away from Malachi Nelson because, I mean, obviously he was a 5-star quarterback. This is really his first stop to see the field significantly and show that he is a 5-star talent. But the ULM secondary has a long way to go, and especially knowing that they're going to face another great quarterback next week, Arkansas State's Jalen Rayner, when they go to Coastal Carolina, who got a win today over South Alabama. When they play South Alabama, even
big comeback win.
Their quarterback issues, they're going to see a lot of passing attacks.
Yeah. Well, Tibbs, it's not, the one-on-one play is fine. You put DeArco, Perkins McAllister out there, and he's really flying around, playing corner, playing star. I mean, sometimes it looks like he's playing safety, sometimes it looks like he's playing edge rusher. And they move him everywhere. And so my point is that, like, in the man-to-man coverage, which we run a lot of, it's not necessarily that the man's just getting whooped around for the most part. It's broken coverages. I mean, people are running wide open down the field. They're not running these crazy routes. They're just running straight. How can you run straight and be as wide open as you are? You know, I think it's missed assignments, and that comes down to I hate saying this, Tibbs, because I feel like a jerk every time I say it, but that's a coaching issue. That's something you really got to shore up and make sure everybody knows what the play is, knows what there are. You got to shore up your operations, your times, and you've got to make sure that that stops happening because that was the same thing at Bama. It wasn't like we were just getting out athlete at Bama. They were just running straight and catching the ball for the most part.
You mentioned Coach. Let's hear from the man now.
Coach, it wasn't pretty, but more importantly, it's a 1-0 win over a road team. How do you kind of see this game playing out?
You know what, man? Just the effort and the energy and just the way we battled. You know, when we get up 31-7, we've got to be able to finish there. You know, that's going to be the message moving forward. But at the end of the day, that's the third road win since 2020. First non-conference road win since 2018. Look, we're in phase 2. This is phase 2, and we've gotten a lot better, and we've still got a long way to go. We're just taking it day by day, and our kids fought their tails off. They battled from the very beginning to the very end. We got some things we got to clean up. We've played 3 games, and we'll put those plays under the microscope, and we'll clean them, and we'll detail them, and we'll continue to climb and get better. We just, at the end of the day, to go on the road, which this was the second of 7, and to go on the road and to play in this environment and our kids to battle from the beginning to the end, man, it's just tremendous growth. It's a big step forward in us building this program.
We know the Warhawks can run the ball. There's no doubt about that. But tonight, able to air it out with Aiden Armenta, really able to go over the top. What did y'all do to kind of prepare that passing game?
Really, we just continue to do what we've been doing. When we were able to get the ball and throw and catch it, we made good catches. We made big plays. The thing that really chaps me is we're up and we've got the wheel route down the sideline that we have been waiting, and it was set up, but we're not lined up on the line of scrimmage. So, obviously that's unacceptable. So we've just got to iron out the little things. We got to iron out the little things and just continue to get better. We feel like, we got Buck back. Our receivers continue to get better. Aiden's going to get better every week. Our O-line is fighting their tails off. So are the tight ends. So we just got to continue to grow and just continue to get better. And we got a big conference opener coming up next week against a really good Arkansas State defense, offense, and special teams.
Was there ever a time where you were kind of maybe hitting the panic button a little bit, that the game was getting away from you?
I was just frustrated. I was frustrated because when you're up 31-7, you got to finish it. Period. We've got them on the ropes, and we just sat there and played with them and let them get back in the game instead of knocking them out and finishing it. So that's obviously something we can learn from and continue to grow. I'll always like it after a win. We always can fix it. But those things right there, we've got to, if we're going to be the team we want to be, we've got to finish people when we've got them on the road, and we've got to execute in the prime moments.
Last thing, message for the fans, because you got homecoming and conference opener next week against Arkansas State.
My message is this. Look, this team, for 2 straight weeks, grinded its tails off and prepared to win the 3rd road game, the first non-conference road game since 2018. I think that's pretty impressive. That's pretty good growth. But my message is real clear. Show up, be loud, wear maroon, and let's cheer on these Warhawks that are fighting for this university in this town. It's time to get behind them in a big way. And I challenge everybody, just get behind us. Together we're stronger, and now's the time.
Chase, he hinted in there, this is the second of 7. He feels strongly that this is a 7-win team. Do you think after this game, because we kind of agreed that this was almost a second season opener, Do you think that this is a team that can get 5 more?
It could, yes. I think could's a big word there. This is a team that could get there. It's a team that held on by their teeth to win this game, but really showed a lot of promise there in the first half of an explosive offense that we haven't seen really since Ahmad left. So I think we really have some. We're going to have some tough matchups in the Sun Belt, but I think people are definitely going to have to put some more respect on what we can do as a team.
31-25 Warhawks get the win on the road. Chase, what's the last thing that you have to say to kind of close this game out?
It's a good win. Like you said, first non-conference away win since 2018. I'm really impressed. After Bama, I think we all kind of had some question marks, and then this really put a lot of them to bed. I think we can be a really good team. I think we can still run the ball really well. I think we have taken a step forward in our passing game. I think we opened up our offense tonight. I mean, there's a lot that you can really get excited about of who we could be as a team. And I think next week's, if we can get that monkey off our back, this is a 7-8 win ball team.
Wrapping up, we look around the Sun Belt Conference. Number 20 Vanderbilt, they did not overlook Georgia State this year. They beat the Panthers 17-21. James Madison 31, Liberty 13. The Raging Cajuns, their struggles continue. They did put up a lot of points. Eastern Michigan just put up a little bit more and won the game 34-31. Troy with a huge road win and a come-from-behind road win at that, going up to Buffalo and getting a 21-17 win. Arkansas State, they dug themselves into a 21-0 hole to Kennesaw State and wound up losing 28-21. I think that Arkansas State, when they come into Malone Stadium next week, it's going to be all eyes on the Red Wolves. As you said, trying to snap that streak and, more importantly, go 1-0 in Sun Belt Conference play. Marshall finally got to beat Middle Tennessee. They were in a long lightning and rain delay, 42-28. Georgia Southern beat Maine 45-17 after some early struggles. Coastal Carolina, they went 1-0 after some non-conference struggles. They beat South Alabama 38-20. Louisiana Tech, they were all over Southern Miss. Southern Miss got a couple of points late in the game to kind of make it look a little bit closer than it was, but that was a 30-20 game. Texas State, they beat Nichols 35-3. And, of course, ULM 31, UTEP 25.
Yeah, probably one of the most impressive Sun Belt wins of the day.
Without a doubt. I mean, other than that Troy win, I think that Troy win was pretty big and a good showing there. But obviously when Coastal can get that non-conference win or that conference win and move to 1-0, it really doesn't matter what you've done non-conference.
Absolutely.
Well, Chase, that was so much fun. We should do it again soon. And in fact, we have a great guest lined up for our next episode.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, I'll see you then.
Yes, sir.
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.